Finally tonight, the foreclosure crisis in Detroit. The Detroit News really did a fascinating in-depth look at the fallout from homes that went into foreclosure. And if you missed it, we're going to have a link to it on our website at MiWeek.org. A couple of stats for you. Of the 65,000 mortgage foreclosures, more than half of them now blighted or abandoned. And the crisis was fueled by those risky loans and lenders selling homes at bargain basement prices. And it's now costing the city $500 million in demolition fees and lost tax revenue. What I thought was really interesting about this, Nolan, when I opened the Detroit News, was that they just took a street.
Yeah.
And just took a look and told the story of the street and where those houses went and the people that had them and the real lives and the ups and the downs and the fact that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, someone loses a job or they can't pay this and then, you know, their payments get jacked up. And it was a fascinating look at just one area, but could be told all around the city.
Right, and you know, there are a lot of culprits here. Certainly predatory lenders, people who just wanted to issue mortgages that then they repackaged and resold, and this whole subprime scandal racket that went on prior to the financial collapse. Government creating a market for these subprime loans with aggressive enforcement of the Community Reinvestment Act. High taxes. I think Dan Gilbert had a point that high taxes also contribute to the foreclosure business. So there's a lot of culprits here and a lot of victims, a lot of people who might have been able to keep their homes and keep their homes up and been good, contributing, productive citizens of this community now being driven out. And you know, this is contributing to this wasteland appearance of Detroit's neighborhoods.
And when you spin that forward, so that happens, it wipes the market out and creates all of these homes that are not occupied. And fast forward to today, and you have 4,000 home sales in the city in a year, and only 400 mortgages get written. Now the banks have gone to the other extreme, to the point where there's so little value attached to so much of the property in the city that they can't meet the standards to write a conventional mortgage, which is a really dangerous trend. That opens up the market to these cash buyers who come from other places to sweep up more of the properties, and it prevents the middle class from being able to live in the city. It's one of those other disincentives for middle class families, especially. Middle class families don't sit around with hundreds and thousands of dollars of cash to buy houses. They need mortgages to be able to do that. And if you can't do it in the city, you will do it somewhere else. And this is one of the biggest problems I think we face. I know the mayor is working real hard right now with Dan Gilbert on coming up with a solution, but there is no easy fix for that, and it's all related to this.
Well, I mean, I think the banks are going to have to step in here because a blighted, abandoned house has no value to them.
Right.
I mean, you're better off if you can keep somebody in the house paying something than you are letting it go, because there's not a market for these homes once the people are forced out. So I think the banks are going to have to step in here, but also the very policies, the very communities these policies were designed to help are getting smashed
killing them.
Whether it's the Community Reinvestment Act or now the going to the opposite extreme on mortgages, where it's you have to jump through so many hoops to get a mortgage. We're killing our urban communities.
Yeah.
Now, are we concerned that we're looking at possibly another wave of foreclosures just because of property tax and
well, and that's the other. I mean, that's the other piece of this. I mean, what the news series did was really take, I thought, an unprecedented look at the mortgage foreclosure issue. That's totally separate from the tax foreclosure issue, which has tens of thousands of properties each year that come up for that. And you put those together, though, and what you're doing is you're depressing values to the point that, again, banks will not be able to write mortgages.
Last word on this, Nolan.
You've got to come up with a tax valuation system, an assessment system that is fair and reasonable. I mean, a lot of people don't pay their taxes because they didn't have to pay their taxes or they couldn't pay their taxes. But a lot of people looked at that tax bill and said, this is way out of line with the value of my home.